Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Liz Loves Books. Today we're going to be doing my indie reading taste test. I am going to be reading the first chapter of 4 different indie published books. I've got them all on here on my Kindle. Here's the first one with this intense cover, but let's get into reading these books. So the first chapter that I'm going to be reading is from the author Dr. Rebecca Sharp, and this book is called Archer. It's book 1 in the Reynolds Protective series, and I found this, I can't remember, I think I just saw it on a book recommendations list, and this series is for all the people that loved Criminal Minds, and that show was everything to me, especially Spencer Reid. I loved Spencer Reid so much. I can't remember, I don't think this book in the series is the one that's like supposed to be about him. So it's like kind of fan fiction-esque, but in a book. But basically the synopsis for this first book says, Kira McKenna has lived her life protected. That's what happens when your father testifies against Boston's Irish mob. After years of move after move, witness protection settled her in Wyoming. Unfortunately, while Kira embraced her new small-town life, her larger-than-life past wouldn't stay away, and with it the one man she'd never forget. 4 years ago, one massive mistake made Archer Reynolds resign from Boston's police force. Moving home, he opened Reynolds' Protective Group, an elite bodyguard agency, to atone for his failure. But when a series of crimes occur in town, he comes face to face with the woman whose name was apparently as fake as her death. Archer can't believe Kira is alive, more beautiful and fiery than he remembered, and still in danger. The police insist the crimes were random, but Kira knows the mob has found her. Archer is determined to protect her, but after her last lie, Kira isn't sure she can trust him with the truth. And as desire mounts, so does danger. And once Archer uncovers the truth about her past, he'll stop at nothing to keep her safe and make her his. So this kind of sounds a lot like Hodge from Criminal Minds. And I mean, I'm excited for it. I'm going to try to read like the first chapter and see how it goes. Then to juxtapose that kind of darker book, I'm also going to be reading the first chapter of Hoax and Kisses by Elodie Colliard. This is book 1 in the When in Pine Falls series, so it's definitely a contemporary romance series. It says, he swore never to fall for a city girl again. She's on a mission to charm his small town. Matt Becker is stretched thin. Running his flower shop solo is a full-time job, and now he's also tasked with caring for his teenage sister while their parents are away. With her expensive new school draining his savings, Matt's barely keeping his head above water. He needs money and fast. Groomed to inherit her father's hotel empire, Zoe Delacroix is finally posed to take the reins. But first she must convince shareholders that she's got what it takes and silence her own doubts. Her plan? Secure a piece of land in the town where her father once failed. Falling for a local? Definitely not part of it. I've got 2 other books that I'm going to be reading the first chapter of, and the next one is To the Gallows by Elizabeth Scarpness, if I'm saying that correctly. And when I was searching for books, I just found this one, and it just sounded really interesting. This is kind of like a fantasy romantasy book. It says, when Laura Lee Winmar oversees the last blessing of Aethera's most wanted criminal before he is hung from the gallows, she receives a surprising command from a dark deity sent to save him. With the noose tightening around his neck, she invokes the forgotten rite of a gallows marriage to free him from his fate. For the next year, Aldrich Lancaster is now bound to the enigmatic high cleric that saved him. Forced to live together under the constraints of their bond, the pair forge a tentative and unlikely friendship. When their paths collide, they must choose if they will follow their predestined paths or diverge and grow towards something new. So this one's nice because it's a little bit different than the other 2 that I've got. Final book I'm going to be reading the first chapter of is Reclaimed Roots by Lauren Kaiser. This is book 1 in the Sable Point series. This is another kind of small town romance. It says 7 years of regret, one last chance to get it right. But it says under Jasper's section, when Natalie Choi left Sable Point and me 7 years ago, she took my heart with her. Now she's back for her father's funeral, and the sight of her hits harder than a summer storm. I should keep my distance, focus on saving my family's struggling orchard, and instead I'm falling for her all over again. Then Natalie's paragraph says, coming home to Sable Point was supposed to be temporary, just long enough to settle my late father's affairs. I didn't expect to find his accounting firm in chaos or the orchard owned by my first love on the brink of financial ruin. And I definitely didn't expect Jasper Everton to still make my heart race after all these years. And let's get into reading the first chapter of these 4 books and pick which one I'm going to read for this reading vlog. Hey guys, so I have an update. I read all 4 first chapters of the books for this vlog, and I think I've at least been able to narrow down 2 that I am gonna get rid of. I think I am going to cut out Reclaimed Roots by Lauren Kaiser for sure, just because the first chapter, well, it was the shortest, so I got the least out of it, but also I just didn't really connect with the writing very much. It was a little stilted, and compared to the rest of the other first chapters, it just was not clicking with me, so that one was an easy nix. One that I think that's still in the running is definitely Archer by Dr. Rebecca Sharp. I was immediately kind of pulled in by that storyline, and I read just the prologue, but I really enjoyed it, and I liked the writing, and it was really easy and fast to read. And then I also really enjoyed Hoax and Kisses by Elodie Colliard. This is a contemporary romance, and I liked this one a lot more than Reclaimed Roots. And then To the Gallows, I was intrigued by, but I think I'm going to eliminate that one as well, just because I just don't think my brain can really fathom 2 romantasies at this time. I'm also just reading A Stage Set for Villains just on my own time, which is a romantasy and start of a series, so I really don't want to jumble them up. So we've got Hoax and Kisses and Archer, 2 of the most opposite vibes ever. And so I've been having so much trouble trying to pick because both of them I just read the prologues. They each had a prologue. So I'm wondering if I should maybe try to read chapter 1s of each of them and then choose from there. And I think that's what I'm going to do next. So I will report back with my choice once I finish both those chapters. Okay, I am back. I read chapter 1 of Hoax and Kisses, and I was going to go on and read chapter 1 of Archer, but I think I have officially decided to nix Hoax and Kisses just because with chapter 1, I still really enjoy it. I'm going to keep it on my Kindle and hopefully read it very soon, but I'm just not in the mood for a female main character who feels like she has to prove herself to her father and all these businessmen that happened in the last romance book I read, so it's just too similar of a plot line for me to want to read right now because I just read it in Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, so that's really the only reason why I'm gonna nix that one out, and we are going to read Archer by Dr. Rebecca Sharp. And it's funny because I was kind of thinking this would be the one that I was going to end up picking anyway, and it turns out it was, and so far the prologue that I read was really, really good. It's kind of like that romantic suspense, which I have wanted to read more of, and I will update you back once I am further through with Archer and let you know how it is with this new indie author that I haven't read before. Hey everybody, so I have got an update for my indie taste test vlog, and as I said, I am reading Archer by Dr. Rebecca Sharp, book 1 in the Reynolds Protective Group series, and I am now at about 50%, so about halfway through the book, and I am really liking this so far. It's feeling like a solid 4-star read. This is a romantic suspense. It's basically a play on the characters from Criminal Minds. So this first book, Archer, is supposed to be a play on the main guy in the Criminal Minds behavioral analysis unit, and that is Hotchner, and he's kind of like your typical tall, dark, and brooding, super serious character, and he's reading exactly like he is in the show, maybe a little bit more, I don't want to say more overprotective, but maybe it's just because this is in book format, so it's not spread apart over multiple seasons of a character, but it's cool to see the comparisons between the show and the ebook. And I'm also really enjoying our FMC. Her name is Kira. She is 24 years old, and she is the one that's kind of escaping a very, very dangerous life. We had the prologue when she was 19 and the situation that Archer, or MMC, was helping her out with. He was a lead detective in Boston, and he was kind of the main guy on the case to protect her from the, I believe it's like the Irish mob, because her dad got into some very shady dealings with them and then kind of flipped on them, so they were kind of always hunting for her and her father. And I don't want to say the event that occurs in the prologue because it gets discussed a little bit later in the book, but 4 years later, she is moved to Wyoming, and it's to the tiny town of Wisdom where Archer and his family are from. And she moved there thinking she could start a new life because she heard so many great things about it from Archer. And little does he know, she shows up. He is shocked to see her. He's like, no, this can't happen. This is crazy, etc. And he and his brothers own the Reynolds Protective Group, which is like a private security company for people to obtain, protection. And then Kira is wanting to open up a tattoo parlor because she is a tattoo artist, and so she's working on renovating and reopening that tattoo parlor. She hasn't quite opened it yet, but she's like been in a soft opening, so I'm sure we'll see that a little bit later. And of course there's a lot of banter and sexual tension between the two characters. Sometimes it's a little much, but I expected it. I mean, the traditional cover is a man with an open shirt. I hate covers like these, that's why I'm not showing it. I just think they're just so cringy. It's going really, really good so far. I'm wanting just a little bit more of like the suspense elements. There have been some moments like mysterious events that are occurring that Archer thinks is related to Kira, but Kira doesn't think it's related to her or anything. So we'll see how that goes further. So fun to see the descriptions of the other brothers. So you've got the one in this book, he's the oldest, it's Archer, and then you have second, which is Hunter, and then you have the third one, which is Gunner, and then the fourth brother, which is Ranger, which these names are so cringy and so silly, but I get why they were done. And there was actually a really sweet scene in this book that kind of made complete sense as to why his name is Archer. So, and then they also have a younger sister whose name is Gwen, so a nice normal name. And yeah, I'm enjoying this quite a bit. I will come back to you maybe at like the 75% mark, see if anything's changed. Otherwise, I'm gonna try to read the rest of this and I will get back to you, and that will be the end of the vlog. Hey everybody, I have my final update for Archer by Dr. Rebecca Sharp, so I'm just gonna kind of talk about it. I finished the book, I put up my review on all my platforms and everything, and I decided to give this book a 4-star rating, which is really exciting because it's been sandwiched in between 2 DNFs that I've had recently. And of course the 2 DNFs I've had were books that I actually owned, and this was just a KU book. So that's unfortunate. But I'm just going to read a little bit of my review. It's pretty much almost the same thing that I've already said. There wasn't really much that had changed in between. So yeah. I think one of my favorite things about this book was that it was based off of the TV show Criminal Minds, and if you love that show, you're going to like this book series, obviously. But this first one I kind of realized as I went through was definitely based off of Aaron Hotchner, like the head lead detective at the BAU, or the Behavioral Analysis Unit, and that is basically what our MMC Archer was. He was very Hotchner-esque, was very grumpy, quiet, very protective of everyone in his life, but especially his wife Haley in the show. And so Archer was just as protective of our FMC Kira in this one. And Kira, she kind of embodied the various like victim characters within the show, although I would say she definitely wasn't a victim. In that sense, she was very strong, very, very strong-willed, very like intent on making like a good life for herself after everything that she's gone through. It's hard because I don't want to explain too much because it'll just be like a big spoiler for if you want to read it. So all I'm going to say is if you want some spice in a book, if you like romance but you want to add a little something else to it, try Romantic Suspense. It's got a little bit of that kind of mystery subplot to it. And then this one also had tropes that are like age gap, bodyguard, small town, found family. So if you're big into those kinds of tropes, I would definitely recommend this. Although I will say like the spice is pretty like strong. There's at least like 3 main spice scenes in the book that are explicit spice scenes. So if you're not into that, I would steer clear. But there was actually also surprisingly a lot of like quotes that I highlighted and that were like a little bit deeper than I thought this was going to be for this book. So that was actually kind of a nice little treat to have. And yeah, so I think this little indie taste test vlog worked out really well, that I got a 4-star book. And I'm going to definitely be continuing on in the series. There's 3 other books after this first one. So the next one's called Hunter, I believe. So I've got that queued up on KU for whenever I want to read it. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in another video soon. Bye guys.